Oh.
Hey,
I was hoping to be on a little earlier today, but unfortunately, life kind of intervened. So,
that happens.
yeah. Okay. Well, welcome everybody. And we're waiting on everybody to get here, and then we'll get into a few stories tonight. But we do have additional stuff. Well, we have a few stories, but mainly we're going to be talking E3 predictions because it's literally tomorrow. And I'm so burnt out, you guys are going to have to forgive me because I'm just going to go straight into the caffeine. Holy crap. Okay. How we doing, Shadow Blazer?
I guess I'm doing all right. Oh, I just saw this on Twitter right now. There's a Shantae figure, but it's only at Anime Expo. I want that. That looks so nice.
By the way, I did see the trailer for the Way Forward Mummy Demastered.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good, actually. Is that what you were trying to tell me before with Way Forward?
Yeah, the whole Mummy Demastered thing.
Based on the epic film starring Tom Cruise.
Which probably isn't going to even do well, but we'll see.
And to the people who all cared whether or not it did well, please stand on your head. Go ahead, I'll wait. Nobody? Okay. We're all smart people here. So people will have to forgive me if I'm a little flustered and a little running late. That's just because my wife literally just barely got here, and I had to basically last minute set up a lot of this stuff. So I'm just going to go ahead and invite it to the chat, because we're going to give our E3 speculations on the conferences that are going to happen, as well as stuff that we would like to see happen, what we're kind of dreading might happen. I'd like to see what you guys think might actually happen at E3. We're already getting a lot of news that's very questionable. And I'll bring this up for the chat so you guys can leave me comments if you can't watch live tonight. But I mean, we have Bubsy coming back. There's a confirmed trailer for Bubsy. Shaq Fu 2 is still a thing and has a trailer that has released. What was the other big one? Oh yeah, Konami's speculating about dropping a Castlevania game. Not in the pachinko variety. I'm sure that it will feature tons of erotic violence. What was the one I just barely got? I'm going to tell you this right here and now, Shadow Blazer. Like, just the sheer tonnage of franchises that I never thought I'd see again that are out this E3 is weird. Just weird. Because, like, I'm not faulting the trailers. The trailers look fine. Even Shaq Fu 2 looks fine. But it's just like, I never thought in my lifetime I would live to see the day when a bunch of franchises that had their day and didn't utilize it and were buried for a reason are back. It's like the video game zombie apocalypse. That's what this is. We are living the video game Walking Dead.
It's like the same fashion recycles every 30 years or so.
And here's the thing that's also supposed to blow your mind. We expect this crap from certain AAA developers. They're not the ones behind it. Because Accolade is funding the indie studio that's working on Bubsy. So, okay, I wouldn't call Accolade AAA by any stretch. But they're funding it. We also have Shaq Fu 2, which was kickstarted. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, a lot of the stuff we expect from the AAA developers. and they're not the ones putting. Well, okay, I'm speaking too soon. I already am dreading the stuff that's coming out of Ubisoft right now. The fact that they're basically saying this new Assassin's Creed is a reboot to the franchise. Reboot how?
So there's another Assassin's Creed. What else is new?
No, they say it's a reboot to the franchise, and
It's
so
still a new Assassin's Creed. Reboot, remake, visualization, whatever you want to call it. It's a new Assassin's Creed.
I would like that defined. I really would like that defined.
Does it really matter though?
It does to me. Like, if you say reboot, I get that there's going to be a historical section, but does that mean we're getting a new character in modern times? Does that mean, what does that mean? Like, is it just going to be, we're going to go into the assassin's memories and it doesn't necessarily need to make sense how we're getting there? Why are we going so far back that we have to establish now that the assassins are based in ancient Egypt, not what we've known for so long?
Because they're running out of ideas. It's
well,
like
I'm not denying that.
I mean, it's like the latest Call of Duty going back to World War II. It's just like, we've done everything else in this franchise. Might as well go back to square one again.
Yeah. So, but the reboot thing is the thing that kind of throws me off. Is like, what on earth do you mean by that? Like, are we going to? Because here's the thing: I like having a modern day character. Does that come back? If so, great. Just fix the bugginess and we'll be fine. Let's see. What else do we have that's happening? Sonic Mania is looking freaking awesome. I'm actually really excited for it. We're gonna have Destiny 2, pretty much guaranteed that that's gonna be there. We're gonna get lots more Battlefront 2 information. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. I don't know if anybody actually saw the trailer for that. That's looking awesome. Let's see. And welcome, Romney.
Hello.
Hello. Oh, that's why you guys are quiet. My volume is like really low. Okay. I was like, you guys need to turn yourselves up or else nobody's going to hear you. Let's see. We also have a new game from Edmund McMullen, a.k.a. the guy who made Super Meat Boy. And it's called The End Is Nigh. It looks like it's going to be more of a Meat Boy clone, but it's got a weirder story attached to it. I especially like the trailer that came out for it, which was basically the main character was a Let's Player and then eventually ends up in his own game.
Yeah, just whenever I hear the phrase "the end is nigh," I just think of Rorschach.
What are you waiting for? Do it. Do it. Do it! Okay, there we go. I have to do it. I have to do it every single time. And the funniest part is, never seen Watchmen.
Yeah.
But that got around, man.
Yeah, Jackie Earle Haley is definitely an underappreciated actor. He just got stuck in good. Yeah, he just got stuck in some very bad movies, like Nightmare on Elm Street. Although A-Team's not that bad.
Yeah. This is another thing we'll probably need to get into because some listeners have actually brought it up. Do we actually think that Microsoft is going to announce a refund policy at their conference tomorrow?
They don't have a refund policy? What?
No, but Sony doesn't either. Right now, the active people that have an active refund policy for digital games is Steam.
How?
And so Sony and Microsoft, if you buy a craptastic game, you're stuck with it if it's digital.
Yep.
So there's been lots of talk for like about a month now, like how I said that, about a month now that they are going to institute a refund policy on Xbox Live that basically will work that I'm going to get some details wrong, but you have to at least have the game a day. Then you have up to 14 days to refund it, but you can't have played more than 2 hours of gameplay. If you played over 2 hours of gameplay, you do not qualify. That's right now the policy that's circulating the rumor mill.
Kind of like Steam's.
Mm-hmm. Similar to Steam. I think Steam's numbers are a little higher, but
Steam is like, I want to say Steam is 3 hours, but
yeah, I was gonna say like their playtime is like 3 to 5, something like that. Just to give it a little bit of wiggle room.
Because I kind of decided to go back on my purchase of Cities Skyline, but they said nope, you played too much time in the game, and we can't refund your policy.
And 14 days, well, here's the thing. 14 days seems a little bit much to me because, usual refund policies that I'm used to, and I think even Steam runs 14-day, and I'm not aware, but I'm used to the whole 7-day thing. But the minimum of having it for at least a day, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That basically stops hackers who want to just get into your account, buy a bunch of craptastic games, have things get refunded to their account, not yours. So that might actually be a great idea. But the real question is Microsoft actually wise enough to implement this? Because I could tell you 80%, I think, of the discussion that's going to happen is going to be Scorpio.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be.
So, and by the way, welcome everybody. Welcome to the chat. And we're happy to have you guys tonight. Once again, we're going to be talking E3 speculation. We do have stories to talk about, and in fact, some corrections to make to those stories. Thank you, Romney. I don't even know why I did that, because I went back and looked at the story. I'm like, why the fuck did I do that?
Do we need Aldo to punch your sources again?
Well, technically, that would be Alex's sources, so yes.
I'm the one who found the story.
Yeah, so technically, you would be punching his sources, so yes. I would enjoy that. Can I get a lawn chair and some popcorn? Kind of like what I'll do eventually when we get together for a Metal Gear playthrough is just get a lawn chair and some popcorn, and that'll be our controller. Not yet. Like, we got Metal Gear 2, and then we need the popcorn controller.
Well, the thing is, when we get to Metal Gear Solids 2 through 5, you're gonna need more than just popcorn, or either you're gonna need a huge tub, maybe some extra waters. Maybe throw in some jujubes.
Somebody actually made the suggestion that maybe what ought to happen is that before we start up because they were talking specifically 3 and 4. Once we get to 3, we ought to just line the area that we will be playing the game with popcorn and all of the trademark stuff you'll find, like candy and stuff like that you'll find at movies today. And just it's littered across the room. Like we have stashes everywhere of stuff, because one popcorn bowl ain't gonna cut it.
Nope. You'll just need to have like the popcorn maker just right there. Just have it just kind of popping every so often during the playthrough as it just makes out.
Maybe even a coffee maker just to keep ourselves awake.
Well, yeah, the thing is, you'll just need to have that popcorn maker so that you get the nice blend of burnt popcorn mixed with fresh popcorn for the real movie theater experience.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You forgot the recycled popcorn that they start the day off with.
Mm-hmm.
So,
along with all the seasonings they expect you to buy, even though you wouldn't really put them on popcorn in any realm of logic.
Dude, somebody is going to. Now that you've said that, Romney, damn it, somebody is going to send us like a big thing of the most obnoxious-looking flavors in popcorn, and I've gotten those occasionally. Like I've gotten a bacon flavored thing for Christmas. Spoiler alert, it doesn't taste very good. Well, I got it. I had to try it.
Yeah, I'm more partial to the ranch powder, although I don't use that for popcorn. I usually use that for potatoes.
Oh yeah, but we're not even gonna we'll get ranch, but we'll also get like nacho cheese. What are the other ones that I've actually seen? Dusted caramel.
That's when you get like the ones that are like, oh, here's bourbon popcorn.
I've actually seen ketchup flavoring for popcorn, or honey mustard. We're gonna get into heavy stuff.
I mean, unless somebody wants to send us a bunch of calorie mates when we get to Metal Gear Solid 3, because it would be appropriate because it was an official product tie-in.
And I have a feeling all the people who want me to start drinking energy drinks for Let's Plays are just going to send us kegs of the stuff. It's like kegs of Monster, kegs of Red Bull. You will be able to live in here for days.
That just reminds me, I did find like an actual keg for root beer. It was at a Winco, and like I literally saw it. I just kind of stared at it for like a few minutes, and I'm just like, Only in Utah would this actually need to be a thing.
Hey, my dad actually bought like I don't want to say it was one of those big coolers because it was bigger than that, but we used to make the joke in the family that it was the root beer keg, and he would fill it every summer when we would have like 4th of July stuff. He'd fill it. He made his own root beer.
Mm.
And by say made his own, he took a recipe kit of Dad's root beer and made that because Dad's was his favorite.
Yeah.
Why? Because he was Dad, and we didn't question that.
Yeah. I've tried making my own soda. I even have a soda stream in my kitchen. And
can't do it.
Just not the same.
No.
Yeah, like so far the soda stream carbonated stuff works best for the fruity flavors that anybody can do. But when you're dealing with unique formulas, Dr. Pepper, root beer, well, the root beer is okay, but like Dr. Pepper, Coke, the ones that are the unique formulas, that's where you run into some problems.
I would say as long as you stay within the soda stream stuff, you're fine. But once you get into the stuff you're talking about, like the custom make your own Dr. Pepper and make your own Coca-Cola, it gets hairier after that. And that's the problem, is that, you buy these things to make that. You don't necessarily buy them to make, soda stream flavored orange soda.
Yeah.
You want to make Shasta, damn it, or Sunkissed or Fanta, whatever you want.
Yeah, it just reminds me of this one time, like, my mom got into this kick involving these mushrooms that she would, like, allow to ferment, and she tried making them more palatable, because, like, got to get in those probiotics. And so she tried making them more palatable by adding root beer extract.
Yes.
It tasted good the first time, but when she left it overnight, no one wanted to touch it. It did not smell like root beer. It did not taste like root beer. The way I described it is that it tasted the way, like, dough smells.
I am neither root beer nor mushrooms. I am something wholly new. Yes. We've had that experimentation in the house before, too. All right. We are about 6 minutes over, so let's go ahead and get things ready to go. Hello, Aldo. Are we ready for spreadsheet action?
I'm not hearing your audio, Aldo.
I'm not hearing Aldo either. And actually, come to think of it, Alex, I'm not seeing your camera. Is that not working?
I cleaned up today, and I put my camera somewhere. I just gotta find it. I just can't find it now.
I love that excuse. Is like, I put it somewhere. It's somewhere in this room.
It is. It's somewhere.
Yeah,
yeah,
just a little quiet. Just a tad quiet.
Sound speed.
Okay, I'm good.
Rolling.
Waiting on Aldo, and then we're good.
Go.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay. All right, just making sure I got everything set up, and here we go. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Geek News, Reviews, and Opinions, the podcast where we talk the week's events in geek. I am your host, Adam Mickelson, a.k.a. Drac. I hope everybody's had an awesome week so far, because it's only going to get more awesome during the weekend as the Electronic Entertainment Expo literally starts tomorrow. It's literally started this week with all of the announcements that have been coming in, but we are going to have our first conferences as of tomorrow. I've had an awesome week, or at least a little bit tricky, because we're working on different shifts and different things like that. And I don't know when I last slept. I honestly don't know when I last slept. Please don't send me energy drinks. I will never sleep again. And of course, I'm also being joined by my panelists of fellow YouTubers, fellow geeks, fellow awesome guys in general. And we've got kind of the usual cast here, but it's only appropriate because we're doing E3 coverage. We're going to start things off with Aldo Gomez of BoardOffline.com, or as many listeners have reference to me this week, the spreadsheet fiend. You officially have a name now, Aldo. I don't know how you feel about that.
Oh, I don't like it.
Oh, okay, all right. Aldo, how are you doing today?
I sound like a cheesy 80s Spider-Man villain. Can we not?
Actually, yes, you do, and I kind of agree with that. But hopefully this didn't put a damper in your day.
Well, it did now.
Okay, all right.
I'm disappointed in our watchers' ability to come up with a name.
Yes. Well, hey, at least as a well, I was gonna say if you're calling yourself a watcher, then at least you don't have to listen to Stan Lee go off on all the various stories that he has before you have to walk away. All right. So, although hopefully this week has been better than your last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
All right, we can at least say that. And we're also being joined by the Shadow Blazer himself, who has apparently accepted his contract from QB and has become a magical girl. I'm sorry, magical boy. I'm sorry, I mean magical girl. Alex, how you doing this week?
Oh, I'm doing fine otherwise, even though you can't seem to make up your mind whether I'm a magical boy or magical girl.
If I'm confused, it's only because your video made me so.
Okay, then. That's good to know.
All right. So yes, I actually know you've had a good week so far because I actually saw you earlier today, and we're going to get into some funny stories as well as some E3 coverage. So this is going to get interesting. We're also being joined by Stephen Romney of Studio Ghost Utah on YouTube, From the Shelf, Romney's Reviews. Romney, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. As for the week, let's just say it's been a series of ups and downs. Lots of downs as well as a few ups, mainly that being my heart rate trying to navigate a very busy street in the middle of 5 o'clock traffic in order to sign some paperwork so that I can keep my car.
Oh, see, here's the thing. Like you got a brand new car at probably the worst time of the year, at least in the state, to get one. Because now you have, like, I'm not saying that buying a car in the winter is fun, guys, so don't bring that up to me, but summer is when a lot of the construction for any major urban area happens, and so you got a brand new car only to go into stop-and-go traffic as they try and fix all the potholes.
Well, thing is, this wasn't even stop-and-go traffic I was dealing with. I mean, without naming the street by name, this was like a very busy thoroughfare for those of you who don't live in Utah, and I bought my car at a tent sale. It's like, oh, we need you to come to the dealership to sign some paperwork. And so I'm navigating this really busy, nightmarishly designed hellhole of a street, trying not to die. I mean, if I literally uploaded the dash cam footage, it would be me saying the F word like every 3 seconds, where I'm just like, And then when I finally
like the nostalgia critic in the video I just watched.
Well, yeah, and then when I finally pulled into a parking lot, I go to the front desk, and they're like, oh, no, you have to go to the one across the street. So, literally, have to get back on that dangerous street, couldn't get over to turn, had to go into a shopping mall that had a very stupidly designed parking lot, and then...
She might as well have just said, did you enjoy risking your life? Good, because you're going to have to do it again.
And again, and again, and again, and again, and again. Yes. But yeah, like I survived, but when I got to the dealership to sign the paperwork, they literally looked at me and you're just like, are you having a hard time? I'm just like, I'm good. I just want to appreciate the fact that I'm not having to dodge a bunch of giant metal death machines for at least 1 minute before I have to make the way home.
Oh, sweet waiting room goodness. I will gladly pick up a magazine.
It's like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, just throw on like that extra coverage. I don't care. I'm just happy to be alive.
Exactly. That's exactly where you're at. Okay, so we actually do have some stories to get into tonight, but as I said in the Twitter post and in the Facebook post, we are going to be going into E3 predictions because it literally starts tomorrow. You remember the good old days, everybody, when E3 started at Sunday night with the Bethesda conference? Of course you don't, because EA and Microsoft decided, we want to be first.
Well, I mean, you can still remember it because their decisions now don't change the past.
Yeah, no, that's true.
So,
that's true.
You know. Saying you can still remember those days.
Yes, you can. You can actually sit in a rocking chair and look out into your field and remember those good old days of yore.
Or that's when you just have the piano pulled out and you just play the little song. I don't know. I mean, you have to have the person singing with you probably has to be a racist in some capacity though, in order to really sell the illusion.
Probably. I don't want to go too much into that, but probably. I would agree with this. And so the first story that we actually have tonight actually did get recommended by a listener, as well as Romney tracked it down. And Romney, going a little into the details with you because you've got the story down, and also Alex, because mainly anime reviewer and how this affects you and all that stuff. But basically, if people might not realize this as an anime fan or as a geek in general, the anime industry is facing a bit of a shortage crisis that is damaging productions, and that will basically that is animator shortages. So I don't know how to point this out to people, because I actually did get listeners who brought this up to me and said how pissed off they were that they were going to have to actually wait for additional episodes for things like Attack on Titan and all that. But I kind of calmly responded back going, okay, you do realize that for every cell of animation that you're wanting, there's about, I'm going to be generous here because I don't know the actual number these days, but I'm going to say about 15, 20 people working on, like, let's just say a set of five cells just for
right.
one. What?
Yeah, that sounds about right. About like 15 to 20 people for a particular set of animation sequences.
Yeah, for a scene in a storyboard kind of thing. And so at that point, that's manpower. And if you think about it, these guys are having to basically, in order to get these seasons out, work around the clock because, again, when we're talking anime, we're usually talking about Japanese studios that are doing it. So you already have the Japanese mindset of work yourself to death. So they're working themselves to death to pump out, a 25 episode arc of, say, a season or just a one-time anime.
Yeah, not to mention that most of these people are freelancers. They're not even in-house at a lot of these studios. This is basically work for hire. What kind of prompted this news was the announcement that Attack on Titan Season 2 was only going to have 12 episodes, which got a lot of people angry of, oh, well, it was a 4-year gap. Why not 25 like the first season? And, well, people pointed out that the studio, WIT Studio, which is the studio animating Attack on Titan Season 2, is basically a very tiny studio with a huge workload. And given that we're reaching a point where less and less people are entering the animation industry, and you also couple that with the fact that more and more anime is being announced and demanded, naturally, you're running into the problem of, well, there's not enough animators to animate all the stuff we want animated.
Nope. Thankfully, the fact of this problem has actually been highlighted in this article by one Thomas Romain, who actually not only brought the disappointing news that Attack on Titan Season 2 is going to be 12 episodes long, but also tried to point out to people that, yeah, I know you're disappointed, but keep in mind, there's a workflow here, and it's run by, human beings, and human beings need things like food and sleep and all that. And unfortunately, as much as we would like to, we can't just get up in the morning, animate all the way through to the end of the day, and then just go and do what we want to go do. It's not how life works.
No. And especially when you have the added factor of people thinking, oh, but they put so much money in this anime and are making back. Keep in mind, the people that get the money from a popular anime is not the animation studio or the animators. It's the production committee and the people who hold the rights. So with Attack on Titan Season 2, it's the Attack on Titan production committee and the mangaka behind it, Hajime Isayama. I believe that's his name. But WIT Studio or any of the animators, I think the ones that worked on it on the first season, was it Gonzo or was it Bones? One of those two.
Which one again?
What?
Oh, Production IG. Production IG. That was the studio that worked on the first season.
And WIT Studio.
And WIT Studio. Point being, those studios don't actually get a cut of the profit brought in by the anime. No matter how popular it is, they're still getting shortchanged.
Yeah. And so this is not a flattering job by any stretch. And unfortunately, these guys are doing the grunt work and getting very little of the credit. I would actually dare say too. I mean, like, to animation enthusiasts, they are, because we know what they go through to actually get this process done. That's why we, pay the in some cases hundreds of dollars to get that original cell from your favorite anime or your favorite animation, whatever. But unfortunately, there's too much demand right now, and there's just not enough people to fulfill that demand.
Yeah,
and so at that point, the production teams just overwork themselves.
Yeah, especially when you hear about the working conditions these animators are put through. Naturally, if you're going to school in Japan, or you're here in the U.S. but you decide to but you want to move to Japan, when you read about these conditions and what you basically would be expected to do as an animator, I mean, who in their right mind would want to work for like 15 to 18 hours a day doing like side work where you're basically given 2 cents per drawing and basically having no time for yourself, working yourself to death? It's literally all these conditions are pretty much almost warding a lot of people away from entering this industry because of how much of a nightmare it is.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing too, is that even in this article, you start to see a lot of misconceptions that go into the process. One in particular that I want to point out is the So they have a bunch of Twitter pics that or Twitter conversations that Thomas Romaine has had. One of them actually stuck out to me, which is like 4 years for only 12 episodes. I understand where you're coming from, but 4 years just for that? Well, they're not working on it for that amount of time. It's for a few months. That's literally when they're pumping out these actual cells and getting them ready to go. In some cases, like big productions, we're talking 6 months, maybe a year. Mm-hmm. But for a lot, like the standard anime these days, I think this is actually like the par for the course, 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, and
maybe even 2 to 3.
And that's implying that the work is contracted solely to one studio. For the larger productions, they usually contract it out to 4 or 5, sometimes 6. Usually not even limiting it to studios in Japan. A lot of anime nowadays hire studios that are in Korea to do a lot of the animation as well to try to meet that demand.
Yeah, it's a sucky situation. The bottom line here is that it is a sucky situation. And it's a sucky situation, at least in my opinion, from both sides. Like the fans don't necessarily get what they want, but at the same time, you got to see it from their perspective. The animators are working their butts off to put what you want onto that screen the way you want it, and they get maybe 10% of the credit. Like they get credit from people like Alex or Aldo who spotlight them and know that these are the guys that worked on the animation. The production committee, the rights holders, they're not the ones that are giving them the proper kudos. Okay, they're not giving them the bonus paychecks for this anime taking off. That's not happening. These guys have huge workloads and get paid. Would it be safe to say peanuts?
Yeah.
Not even that. Like they basically get paid a peanut.
Yeah, exactly. And so at that point, like, I understand that people are mad about this. In fact, funniest thing, I just barely had this conversation with my eldest niece, who's teenager, but her favorite show is Fairy Tail. And I guess she just barely finished up the most current season of Fairy Tail and was like, oh my gosh, Drac, you need to help me. I need to know when the next season's coming out. And obviously, like, Alex knows this because I actually had to go to him, mainly because she demanded that I go to him. But when I actually had to tell her the news, like, there is really no news. Like, they just barely put a movie out, and there isn't a whole lot of manga left to work with or adapt. The answer that I have is, I don't know. And she's like, oh my gosh, that sucks. I just can't understand why they can't do, like, US TV seasons. Okay, again... Do you understand how much actually, like, here's the thing, a live production, there's a lot of manpower that goes into that too. But I would actually dare say an animation production probably has a lot more of a workload and a lot more of a manpower to get it out and done.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, like, I understand your pain. You have to wait, especially if your season ended on a cliffhanger, but it's kind of the price you pay.
Yep, especially with how saturated the market is, with a bunch of series doing half seasons, it's just becoming even more and more of a nightmare. We're probably going to get to the point where the anime bubble at some point is probably going to burst. Now, some people are thinking, oh, but with stuff like Amazon and Netflix, that should help solve the problem. Not necessarily, because with platforms like Amazon, Netflix, as well as a lot of companies from China and Korea also investing into it, it merely adds to the issue that exists with the production committees, where Netflix and Amazon would simply be part of that production committee, and that isn't necessarily a guarantee that the animators would get paid more. If anything, Amazon and Netflix would want to pay even less to get certain shows up, especially given how much of a financial risk producing an anime series really is. I was actually looking at an Answer Man article talking about, why is it more anime on American TV? And that's because, well, it's risky to try airing it on TV, especially when there's no guarantee that the audience is going to be there. That's why the only network that really showed anime in any capacity over the past while was Cartoon Network.
Yeah, exactly.
And even then, that is at a very, very limited capacity.
Yeah, well, I would actually dare, because Cartoon Network had that limited capacity. Then they got a little bit more open with it, and then Sci-Fi kind of opened up with limited availability, and it never got past that point with Sci-Fi. But now, like, you see Cartoon Network for what it is, where they can have full-on blocks that last 3 to 4 hours. But we got to remember the good old days where they actually didn't showcase a whole lot of anime, and a lot of that stuff was like popular because they knew it would work.
Yeah, especially when you consider that the main anime block is really late at night, that most people use DVR anyway. And even back in the days of Toonami, like the stuff that was shown was popular and often interspliced with a lot of American shows like Justice League or Batman Beyond to kind of fill out the gap because, again, and the Answer Man article goes into a lot more detail about the like wheeling and dealing that goes into really any television arrangement. But it's kind of the case where people think, oh, will Netflix and Amazon change? Probably not, because if anything, any animation studio that wants to work on these animated series for Netflix or Amazon, the thing they're going to do is they're going to try to undercut the competition. That's pretty much what a lot of that's why the pay is so low, is everybody's trying to undercut each other to keep costs as low as possible, because if you're the cheapest, you're more likely to get hired.
Exactly. Alex and Aldo have both been quiet on this matter. Do you guys have anything additional to add?
Doesn't surprise me that there's shortages. We've covered the fact that the pay is usually pretty abysmal for starting animators, and most of them have to work on freelance contractual basis. Basically, there's very few studios that have in-house staff. Really, the only two I can think of off the top of my head are Studio Ghibli and Kyoto Animation, where are the only two studios to have any kind of regular full-time staff of animators. Yeah. But even then, they still have to work with other studios to meet the workload needs. They still have to contract background studios and in between studios. Some of them are owned, others are third party. But I think if there's a solution to be found, it might just be they need to start scaling back, because they are producing shows at an absurd rate now, even more so than 5-10 years ago that they are. They're just producing so many shows right now.
I would agree. But and in this case, like, usually we would all think that more work is a good thing, but in this case, no, it's not. It really isn't. What about you, Aldo?
I mean, you guys have said everything. It's
I mean, the funniest part is, like, you and me have gone into the kind of similar struggles in the gaming industry, where we have like the horrible crunch time that can actually happen there. And whilst it does have some similar characteristics, I would actually dare say I think animation probably has it a little bit worse, because again, this is Japanese animation, so they're probably working a lot worse hours.
Not just a little bit worse. They have it I wouldn't even compare the two. It's way different cultures, because crunch time only takes like 3 months out of the year. This is a year-long thing that happens to them, especially depending on the studio, depending how many projects they're doing. I mean, studios like off the top of my head, I can't really think of anything specific because it's so many of them, but studios are pumping out 4 seasons a year. And depending on the show, it's, I mean, average, it's what, 4 times 12, 48 episodes a year.
Like, and not only that, like, you have the popular stuff that's getting done, so the shonen stuff is active, and then so you have like 2 or 3 of those series going on, like with an active season. Then you occasionally have like the experimental stuff that comes out. We don't know whether or not it's going to work, and the list just goes on and on and on when you look at like stuff that's actually releasing per year.
Not to mention, you also have them doing work for things like commercials and a lot of other projects as well. Some of them even working on feature films as well, because I mean, you've got some of these anime franchises that are trying to put out a movie every single year. I mean, you look in the US, that would be relatively unheard of a company like Disney, that without the pre-planning that they do to a somewhat insane degree, if they basically release, once every 3 years, and now they're going to do like once every year, start to finish, which a lot of studios in Japan currently do, it's downright insane.
Exactly. So I think we've pretty much covered the nail on the head, but I want to finish this simply with, look, I get that you guys want your extra 13 episodes, but consider this part of the equation the next time you start demanding this stuff, because somebody has to get it to you. And unfortunately, that means that a lot of manpower goes into it. And I would actually say, look at your DVD collection and just look at how, magnify your appreciation here. Because there's a lot of hard work that goes into the stuff that you love. And it's not easy by any stretch.
Nope.
So let's go ahead and get into the next discussion here. We kind of have tech and entertainment stuff intermixed in this first hour, but this one is a little bit more pertaining to E3, but it is also a worthwhile discussion to actually have. So Alex actually found this story, and we actually, so the story is from VG247, and the headline speaks for itself. Less than 2% of Xbox One use is for backwards compatible games. So maybe Sony's got it right after all. That's staggering to me, especially considering like how much time and effort went into the announcement of you're going to be able to play your Xbox 360 games on your Xbox One. And they're literally not, granted, a lot of this is online use, so we can't necessarily clock like all the people who are just digging out their favorite games and playing them on their own time. But that's still a little staggering. 2% for nostalgic titles. That's pretty tough, especially considering how much of a selling point it actually was. In fact, one of the things I find funny right now is I don't know if you guys have actually seen it, there's a movement going on right now of that Xbox shouldn't stop there. They should allow you to play the original Xbox games on your Xbox One and Scorpio. Well, if there's less than 2% playing, it doesn't sound to me like Microsoft's going to be wholly motivated to give that to you.
Yeah, not to mention, did nobody learn the lesson with the PS3 when it launched? That's what Sony tried, and guess what? The console caught on fire.
Yes, it literally caught on fire. It would smoke. I saw that thing smoke. It smoked. Yep. I would actually dare say that it smoked 3 or 4 packs a day.
Yeah, it smoked about as much as Solid Snake.
Okay, all right, I'll give you that one. But yeah, so I actually want to bounce this over to the Shadow Blazer, because you and me have had this discussion numerous times where you are really irritated that backwards compatibility is not built into current day consoles.
Yeah.
And we've had this debate where I've said a couple of times, like, it isn't really plausible to be able to do that. But then I remember specifically when you saw that the 360 games were going to work for the Xbox One, you thought that was a good idea.
Yeah.
So now reading this, like, how does that make you feel about backwards compatibility?
Okay, I guess I need to eat my words then. I'm a little surprised. I just figured backwards compatibility, it's convenience. I don't have to pull my old console out of the closet or wade through a tangled cord maze if I have more than one hooked up. It's just, I got everything conveniently placed in one little place, but I guess apparently not. I mean, still, though, it's just for the fact that old systems, they break after a while, and then they become expensive or hard to find when you need to replace it, and you can't replace parts and that. So, I just figured that's the real big reasons for backwards compatibility. It's just the convenience factor. So I'm really surprised it's, I guess, not as big of a thing as I thought it would be.
The other thing, too, that you have to consider is that, to a few, or at least a good portion of the audience that's buying these brand new consoles, they're not buying it for backwards compatibility. They're buying it for the games that they love. They want to buy the newest Halo. They want to buy the game that was recommended to them by their friends. And so, they literally look at it from this perspective. Why would I want to play something older than that? I'd rather go play the new stuff, the new shiny. And that hurts the backwards compatibility as well. It's one of those things that I've appreciated Steam and the PSN for continuing to expand that. Well, Steam not so much, but PlayStation still tries to add titles wherever they can into their PSN. Steam actually, to some extent, does too, but they already had like this huge established one because of the fact that Steam has been around so long. So it's definitely something you have to consider in the long run. I'm sorry, I cut something off.
Sorry, except I don't think you should, Alex, you should back off from your idea that it's a good idea. Just because nobody uses it doesn't mean it's a bad idea. It just means more people are idiots. It's that same syndrome. Like, we want Scott Pilgrim, and then who went to the theaters? Nobody, and then people cry. Like,
and who bought the game?
Well, it's not the game; it's the movie. Like, the movie is what matters in this analogy.
I thought they both tanked.
They did.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because one of them was a downloadable title. It's a movie tie-in game. Nobody buys those anyways.
Well, except for the idiots.
Yeah. Hey, I bought it.
I was gonna say I bought Scott Pilgrim.
I just mean it with movie tie-ins in general. Only overworked parents and people who don't understand quality control buy those.
Yes.
Right.
I guess this is bad news to Way Forward, who are working on a movie tie-in for The Mummy.
That's always. In fairness, it's another contract job for them, and that's pretty much 90% of their studio's workload.
Yep. Yeah. Of course, another point to sorry, go ahead, Aldo.
Oh no, go ahead.
Well, the thing I was going to mention, another point to consider that a lot of people tend to forget is that even with Xbox, backwards compatibility wasn't a feature right out of the gate. It was something they implemented, and keep in mind, slowly implemented, where not all 360 games could work on the console. You basically had to wait for them to update the list of games that could work on the console. And so that's another thing to consider, is that it wasn't a touted feature right out of the gate. It mainly came about in the wake of the shellacking they got from Sony when they announced the Xbox One in the first place.
Well, and to the people who want to bring up the the 360 did it too. Okay, before we go into that argument, that list was limited, and it was very limited. In fact, I've seen the list like a couple of times in my life, but a majority of like the more popular Xbox titles made it onto that backwards compatibility list. Not all of them did.
But I also think it's a difference in culture. I think when the PlayStation 2 came out, and even when the PlayStation 3 came out, backwards compatibility was something that's very wanted. But I think, considering the fact that like specifically Sony and all its subsidiaries are coming out with HD remasters almost every month, I think people don't really want to go back and play their old games, because as much as I love Kingdom Hearts on the PS2 looks hot shit. Like
you're gonna get a premium edition eventually.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not just a premium, like it's an HD remaster. I'm not talking about
definitive edition.
I think I think the only exception is that where people would want to go back to the old stuff if, say, the port was completely botched. Case in point, Silent Hill Remastered.
Right, and even like Ratchet and Clank and a few of those. But I mean, as much as I hate it, those are kind of exceptions with how well they've been handling remasters. So I think, Star Ocean 3, for the love of God, Star Ocean 3 got a HD remaster like not too long ago. Yep. Like, nobody cares about Star Ocean, apparently. People do, and they got a remaster. Like, so I think just going back to playing your old games isn't the thing that people want anymore. No. And it's the thing that people were yelling for, but consumers, we don't know what the hell we want. We think we do, but we don't want to go back and play our old games. We want our old games, but shiny. Like if I looking at my library of games, at my PS3 collection, I have my PS4. I can see 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, about 10 remasters, 10 HD collections. Like, it's kind of people want nowadays. We don't want to go back and play our old games. We want to go play cleaned up versions of our old games.
Well,
I would actually dare say that's an average case. Like, for a nostalgia freak like me, my collection obviously is a lot bigger, but only because I do care about that stuff and I want to be able to play those games wherever I can get the opportunity. So, I'm even a weird case in that regard. Go ahead, Romney.
Well, I'll even do you one better in terms of the analogy. I mean, a good example, Castlevania Symphony of the Night. A lot of people hail it as the greatest of the franchise, but I bet you nobody actually wants to go back and play the PS1 version with the abysmally long loading times.
Nope. Where is that Symphony of the Night remake? Here's the thing, guys. People don't realize this. Right along with that Final Fantasy VII remake you guys wanted so much, and now that it's coming, you don't want it. I saw numerous other people going, where's my Silent Hill remake? Where's my Resident Evil remake? That came later. And you even got a remake of the remake of the remake. And then also, like, where's my Symphony of the Night remake? It happens.
Yep. And technically with Symphony of the Night, it happened 3 times. Because you first had the Xbox version, Then you had the version that came with Dracula X Chronicles, and then there was a re-release of the version of Dracula X Chronicles that had all the new voice acting.
Okay, which one was that? Because I've got Dracula X Chronicles. I'm not sure about the third one, though.
Well, I remember seeing that. It came out shortly after Dracula X Chronicles, where they then did an update where it's like, oh, here's Symphony of the Night with the new voice actors. I may be confusing it with what was released for the Xbox Live Arcade, because I know they didn't have the new voices out right at the gate. It wasn't until after Dracula X Chronicles that they uploaded the version with the new voices.
Yeah, so, okay, all right. I'm with you on that one. But hey, I mean, you know, we'll get into the E3 coverage in a minute, but it looks like Konami might actually have a Castlevania game coming, probably a collection.
Yeah.
See that face internet? That's my face when they actually make the announcement.
Yeah, I mean, unless it's like Demon Castle Wars times like 50, you've got a lot to win back, Konami.
But look on the bright side, Romney. You will get lots of erotic violence.
If I wanted erotic violence, I would just watch porn.
Yes. I'm sorry, Aldo.
I was gonna say that's a pachinko. So unless like they're gonna bring you the pachinko experience here, mobile.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly.
I don't really think you're gonna get erotic violence.
Okay, all right. Sorry, pachinko fans. You're not going to have a reason to get out of the pachinko hall.
Yep. Sorry, lone pachinko fan who stumbled across an American podcast.
Okay, so unfortunately, I'm going to try and move things along a little bit, but you know, this is actually a discussion that I want to have even more with you guys, the listeners, on where you actually think backwards compatibility is, because we could devote time to this and we could actually go through it as much as possible, but we actually do have a schedule and I need to adhere to it a little bit. And one of the main reasons is because this GD story got sent to me by so many people. If I see it again, I will literally die.
I mean, you're gonna see it again right now. Great, as the inheritor of Geek News.
Hey, who says you get to be the host, man? we will decide the new host with fisticuffs. That's how we're supposed to do this.
We gotta go to Canada because that's legal now.
I see one fly over me right now. They did not let the body cool. They did not. All right. So this story got sent by numerous listeners, numerous friends, numerous family members. So apparently Cowboy Bebop is being remade as a live action TV series. Whoa. Yay. Yay.
And there was much rejoicing.
Yay. And you know it's good because the screenwriter behind Thor: The Dark World and Thor Ragnarok is behind it.
To be fair, those are the better Thors.
Is it true?
No, I would not say that for the Dark World. Ragnarok hasn't come out, so I'm willing to give it benefit of the doubt, but come on, Dark World, I would not call it.
I like Dark World, but I've got that soft spot for the original Thor.
Dark World has way better moments. Like, I stayed awake in Dark World.
Well, and yeah, problem is Dark World wasted it with a whole lot of nothing just to put in more Loki.
Yeah, that was good. That was the best part.
Loki imitating other people. That's the other part that you forgot to add there. Loki imitating other people.
Yeah, Christopher Eccleston was wasted in that movie.
Yes. So yeah, we have a live action remake. And so really what happened here is listeners want to know, like, are we excited about it? Are we thinking this shouldn't happen? Especially considering that a few months ago, we were already having this discussion with Ghost in the Shell on anime remakes being either live action or whatever as a whole. And so right now, I think just to give a little bit of the details here, I believe where they're talking about it from the three stories that I'm not kidding. I got like relinked stories from 3 different outlets, all of similar. So a lot of them are basically saying that it's just going to be a remake of the 26 episodes. Some say more that's going to happen. Some say additional characters might be put in there. Some say no. Some people are already talking about live action actors already being cast. No, that's not happening.
That is way too soon. Because keep in mind, the studios that are attached to this, you have Tomorrow Studios. They're partnering with ITV Studios, which is based in Britain, and couple that with a few other producers like Marty Adelstein, who worked on Teen Wolf, Aquarius, and Prison Break Resurrection. And then you also have Sunrise as one of the production companies, but this was just barely announced. The pilot script hasn't even been written yet. They haven't even, like, so far we've got Christopher Yost, who, as Adam mentioned, worked on Thor: The Dark World and Thor: Ragnarok. And it's
Rummy
just
will correct me, but here's roughly the amount of work that's gone into this announcement so far. Christopher Yost, I would like to do a Cowboy Bebop live action TV series. TV company, that sounds great. Give us a script. Christopher Yost, okay.
Well, here's a better example. It's more like, hey, this anime property was popular in America for a while. Let's try to wring some mileage out of it, because who knows? Because we're not going to get a live action movie out of it. Maybe a live action television series. And then they're just like, oh well, who can we get to write this thing? Oh well, there's that guy who's done the Thor movies. That gives us some marquee value.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there hasn't been much in the process yet for this. This is early conceptual stage. But obviously I could tell you guys are excited, so I'll just go ahead and open it up to the panel. Are you guys excited for a live action Cowboy Bebop TV series?
Well, to play devil's advocate, compared to a lot of the other anime people have tried to adapt to live action, this is not the worst choice. I mean, first off, you have a pretty diverse cast, and a lot of people think, oh, but the whitewashing. But keep in mind, the main guy, Spike Spiegel, is not meant to be Asian. Like Spike, Jet, like basically, this at least is a bit more approachable. It has some familiarity in the U.S. So compared to other popular anime series like, say, Sword Art Online, which is also in development for live action television, this is at least a better, more feasible choice, especially when you consider thinking the approach that I assume they're probably going to go was like, oh, well, people like that show Firefly. Maybe let's try to copy something like that.
Yeah. But you're exactly right. Is that a lot of people are worried about the whitewashing argument? I've seen that brought up, but I mean, we're talking about Spike Spiegel, Jet Black, Faye Valentine. I didn't even realize this until now, and I'm a Cowboy Bebop fan. I didn't realize Ed had a last name. Ed Wong, so maybe there's your only Asian one. And then you have a dog who's got to be a corgi. But I would even dare say that, no, it doesn't have to be a corgi.
Yeah, again, it depends on how faithful they want to be to this, whether it's going to be a straightforward remake or simply reimagining the core concept, which is a crew of bounty hunters roaming throughout space, which, again, is a concept that's been done to death, mainly in Japan, but we've seen it done in the United States, again, Firefly, and a few other derivatives thereof. So, again, it's not the worst anime to be given a live-action treatment, and at the very least, it doesn't have as many of the pitfalls as a few other shows that have been considered for live-action adaptation.
No, it doesn't have a whole lot of those, but it's still, at least to me, it's still a slippery slope, because I don't know how many ways to actually say this and people take it the wrong way, but I literally, when it comes to stuff like Cowboy Bebop, Akira, Ghost of the Shell, and again, we'll have that discussion later. I'm of the opinion that lightning can't strike twice. When it worked once, it was a perfect storm. It worked out. It was great. Moved on. And then you try to do an adaptation later, and it doesn't feel the same to me. Now, granted, that could be just like, I don't want new. I like sameness. But at the same time, just when I think about actually like trying to put Spike on the live action camera and not understanding who, like, best example that I can think of is like Spike is a stern follower of Bruce Lee's beliefs. And to not put that on camera is a wasted opportunity in my mind, which you could technically do because you might not necessarily have the time to put that in. So already I've got my own worries about it. Alex and Aldo, your thoughts on whether or not this should even happen?
Well, I kind of thought, hey, Ghost in the Shell, that would probably work as an American movie. Boy, it turned out to be wrong on that one. Bebop, again, I kind of feel the same because the story is more inherently universal and not quite as culturally ingrained in Japanese. But still, it's just like there's been one too many duds out of the attempts to make live action anime. I'm just not sure that it's ever going to work. And frankly, at this point, I'm not ready to hit the panic button or get all excited because, well, we need to see if this gets out of any kind of development stage. Because I followed the whole trek of Noir attempting to be made into a live action, and that just slipped into development hell, and nobody's spoken of it since.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how's that working out for you?
Yeah,
sorry. Yeah, because I watched you follow that, but I agree with you, Alex, that if there was actually a show that maybe has the potential to do it from an anime, this would probably be the best shot, given its inspirations, given its directions. I'm still just like, lightning just can't strike twice. You can't have a perfect thing happen twice. Unless it's, like the planets align and everything works out.
I mean, to be fair, lightning barely struck with Cowboy Bebop. As much as it was a hit here, it wasn't the biggest hit in Japan.
Nope.
And I mean, even here, it's still considered more or less a cult classic than like a raging hit. So I mean, to be fair, lightning didn't really strike all that much the first time to begin with.
This is true, and I'll agree with you on that. I'm using that analogy simply based off the concept of. I think if you did it once, I don't know if you could do it again.
What I'm trying to say is, I don't think, and I'm not saying like Ghost in the Shell is a sacred franchise. I think it's a delicate franchise. I don't think Cowboy Bebop is nearly as revered per se as Ghost in the Shell was. Like,
okay.
I don't know about that. I still see a lot of love and universal praise for Bebop.
I mean, I would actually agree with Aldo here. I know it's got the U.S. praise, but not the Japanese one.
I don't think it's nearly like as untouchable, right? I think we haven't touched it because nobody really knows what to do with it.
That and the big thing that's prevented it from being touched isn't even so much, we don't know what to do with it. It's the budget. I mean, Keanu Reeves for years tried to get a Bebop movie off the ground, but no matter how people tried writing the script, they just couldn't get it to a reasonable budget. I mean, the initial budget, this was in like 2003 money, would have been at least $1 billion to make. And back then, that was a lot of money.
Yeah.
But what I think is happening here, though, to kind of go against your analogy of lightning striking twice, I think right now is the best time for them to even try this. Anime is at an all-time popular since early 90s, it feels like. Fantasy and sci-fi television and its production values are through the roof right now. Like Game of Thrones, American Gods, all these things have nearly a Hollywood budget spread out through their seasons. I think right now, if I think it would be dumb to not even try to do Cowboy Bebop right now. I mean, I love Cowboy Bebop. I'm currently like rewatching it right now. I'm probably like episode 12. So I love it, but I keep thinking every time I watch an episode, I'm like, this is doable. This is doable in live action as a television. You'd have to cut and substitute a few things. I'm not sure that I want to see the exact same 26 episodes again.
Yeah, I don't like beat for beat. Just because at that point, like the criticism would be that they didn't show any originality. They just redid the episodes.
But I think as long as they got that Firefly spirit that both Cowboy Bebop and Firefly kind of tend to carry, that whole we're in space, but it's kind of a western. It's
okay.
I think as long as they were able to keep to that, and they were able to like stay not necessarily faithful but true to the characters and like their personality and quirks, I think this would be done well. And I mean, and here's like the other difference too, right? Between like this anime and like a lot of other anime, is that you have a primarily adult cast. This wasn't like a show made for kids. This was a show made for adults.
Yeah.
And Ghost in the Shell, same, but try not to speak about Ghost in the Shell anymore.
Yeah, but to kind of add to that point, Ghost in the Shell, even by its very nature, even in Japan, had a more niche appeal. It was hard science fiction, whereas Cowboy Bebop, like you said, was more of a Western, designed with a more mainstream appeal in mind, where it wasn't really about the science. It was about the action, about them getting their mark.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, and I mean, going, again, kind of bouncing to that Western thing, Logan was a freaking comic book movie on top of a Western. It was a Western movie disguised as a superhero movie, essentially. So I don't see why we couldn't do the same with Cowboy Bebop. I think Cowboy Bebop is probably the best franchise to try to take to live action, considering the conditions right now, is my opinion on it.
Given your argument, I would agree. I'm just, I'm worried that you can't necessarily. I am worried that it's not going to be as good as what came before. If it comes out as good or better, then I have no issue. Which, I mean, given what you've argued, it could. It literally could. And I agree with you. They should not beat for beat do the episodes. I have no problem with them trying to keep to themes, like, say, having, huge backstories that maybe aren't necessarily entirely explained.
Here's the thing, though. I don't think anything will ever be as good as the first time. So I think having that expectation from the beginning, you're already setting yourself up to be disappointed. It's gonna be different, and that's perfectly fine.
All right.
I think if you're going in here waiting it to be as good or being equally being the same thing, I think you're already saying it. This is the thing, though, with adaptations, especially Western adaptations of something overseas, whether it's German or Polish or Japanese, it's always going to be different for a lot of reasons, for various reasons, right? The girl with the dragon tattoo is not even a Japanese property; it's Norwegian or Swedish, right?
Yeah,
Swedish. That's drastically different here in the U.S., and that's a live action to live action adaptation.
Another example of that,
it's a book as well.
Like another example is the Witcher series. The Witcher, before it became the video games, was a series of Polish fantasy novels, and naturally things were changed as they were adapted into the games. And the upcoming Netflix series based on it is also going to have a lot of changes.
That one's a little bit more gray because it was a Polish company that also made it. Was CD Projekt Red. They're Polish and they made the game, and the game isn't an adaptation of the stories. It's a sequel to it. But I mean, I get what you're saying though. I think though if we go into Cowboy Bebop the live action as being inherently different from the beginning, I don't think it'll be that bad.
Okay. All right, I'll look at it optimistically from that end. Unfortunately, we need to move on because we only have so much time left in the first hour, and then we got to get into E3 stuff. And we have one more story to get into that is silly, but also very unfortunate. So I actually put this in the description wrong, and I promise I will fix it later when I can edit this thing. But so a Vietnamese skin clinic has a little bit of a problem with its logo design. Thankfully, they've discovered the problem. They're working to remedy it. But they have a little bit of a problem. Just a tiny one. And I have to show it. I have to show it, everybody, because that way you get what it is. And I'll even put an image somewhere on the RSS feed as well so you guys can look at it. But so a skin clinic in Vietnam, not Japan, Vietnam, has the unfortunate circumstance of having this as their logo.
Whoops.
Yeah. For the people listening at home, the logo in question is very reminiscent of the Umbrella Corporation from Resident Evil.
Specifically the movies, I think. I think this is more of an adaptation of the movies.
Well, it's both, because the logo is consistent across movie and games. That's the one thing they can actually get right.
Yeah, so the where is it? I'm probably gonna murder the name, so I'm probably not even gonna try and say it. But this the Skin Clinic actually took this on as a new logo design, and then received, and I love they put it in the notice that they got this feedback from them is that in the last few days, we have received feedback from the media and community that our logo resembles that of a fictional corporation, the Umbrella Corporation, in the movie and game Resident Evil. We are very surprised to receive such feedback from the community. And so a lot of people actually looked at this as a bad thing.
Well, here's to kind of explain what happened. The skin clinic is called the MedCare Skin Center. They're based in Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam. Simply put, what happened is that this skin clinic wanted to get a new logo commission, so they hired a freelance graphic designer. And this graphic designer, who was either an intentional troll or incredibly lazy, gave them the Umbrella logo.
Yes.
And that's the real unfortunate, even by their own admission, they basically said, like, I'm looking at it where it says, like, our team is highly specialized in taking care of skin conditions for our clients, and logo design is completely out of our specialty and was consulted and completed for us by a hired third party. So basically, This is sadly the tragic case of maybe vet the graphic designer you're commissioning from this a little bit more thoroughly before you agree to pay them.
Exactly. And at that point, also maybe like when you get your results, search it, see if it comes up, and if it does, send it back to the guy. I would actually even say don't even pay the guy until you get your things finalized, but that's me.
Yeah. Sadly, this is a process that's all too common when a lot of people try to commission logos, especially if it's a smaller business that doesn't really know how to play the game. This is sadly a tale that's all too familiar with a lot of people who get taken advantage of by, well, skeevy graphic designers, skeevy freelancers of any trade that think that they can pull this kind of crap and get away with it.
Mm-hmm. And that's the sad reality of it is like because here's the thing too, these guys are getting trolled for it and probably paying through the nose to get this. Like they're probably paying more than what a legit graphics designer actually would charge them. And yeah, then they get screwed because I mean, if it wasn't their clients giving them that, who's to say that they wouldn't have eventually gotten a knock on the door from a lawyer and had a whole other problem to deal with in the process as well. So, because somebody could have told Capcom or the movie company that what's the movie company that does the Resident Evil movies?
I don't know. I think it's Sony that distributes them, but I don't think they're the ones that produce them.
But yeah, you could have had a lawyer come from Sony, from Capcom, wherever, saying, "Yeah, you can't use that logo."
Distributed by Screen Gems, produced by Constantine Films.
So this is thankfully they caught it early, and thankfully they had their customers to help them out in that regard, because this could have ended horribly for them. Yeah, but for geeks like you and me, this is a silly venture.
But it's kind of funny because some people, looking at the article, some people even speculated, oh, was this a false flag operation by Capcom? Are they promoting the next Resident Evil game? Which the Medcare Clinic went, no, that it isn't. Honestly, I mean, if Capcom were to try this, it didn't work for Resident Evil 6, so I don't really see why they would try this sort of thing. But even if this was a false flag operation, it wouldn't be a very good one.
Well, before the article came up, I recall seeing the picture on my Twitter feed, and I didn't really look at the tweet itself. I just saw the picture. I thought, oh, it's so they're promoting the next Resident Evil or something. So then I read the article. I thought, boy, that was amusing.
Well, and I read the article and I went, just like in my head, this is the ADD moments that happen. Is like, what are the odds? A skin clinic of numerous other corporations that could like this could have been a literal umbrella manufacturer. It was a skin clinic. It could have been a makeup company or anything like that, and they got the umbrella logo. What are the freaking odds?
Yeah, it's funny how even one of the articles that the Anime News Network article we're linking from literally links to an article that's titled "The Umbrella Corporation Lives," and it's based in Vietnam.
Yeah, exactly. Aldo, any thoughts on this one before we got to move on?
Nope.
Not really. Just get your logo changed. I'm sure lawyers will appreciate that. And I'm sure your client base will appreciate that, because then they won't go into their skin clinic and wonder whether or not they're going to walk out the same way.
Yep. I mean, unless you're going to give them like the Albert Wesker thing where they get all the superpowers but still get to look human.
Oh crap! Okay, I'm sorry, I gotta share this, but I just had another ADD moment. What would be the odds of this skin clinic actually having a person that was named Ada Wong? Probably not likely, but just like, oh my gosh.
Maybe, again, it's Vietnam. There's a bit of a mishmash when it comes to the common names, but hell, stranger things have happened.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I got to get off this one, otherwise the ADD moments are just going to continue on. So let's go ahead and get into the second hour's worth of content, and that tonight is the Electronic Entertainment Expo 2017. It literally starts tomorrow afternoon for those who have been asking. Yes, it starts up. I think the first conference is like at noon. Yes, it is tomorrow at noon Pacific time, obviously. You guys will have to figure it out for your various other time slots, but or time zones. But we have numerous conferences to go over. We've already started to see a lot of the announcements coming out this week, which has been surprising. Like a lot of my stuff has been filled with, well, Bubsy's coming back, and Shaq Fu 2 is still a thing, and Shenmue 3 got delayed, and Castlevania is apparently going to be a thing from Capcom. So we already have some speculation as to what's going to happen for each of these conferences, but the first little bit that I want to go over is just like our personal opinions of what we want to see from the companies that are going to, or the major companies that are going to have conferences. Because the conferences are a big thing. It's what a lot of people, especially people who are interested in new consoles and all that, watch. They specifically stick to the big three, but we're going to be covering, obviously, the others. I'll be doing coverage for it all week. And we're going to start things in order, with the first conference being Electronic Arts. What do we want to see from Electronic Arts? I can tell you, I think I know what we're going to see. Which is going to be a lot of Star Wars and really no games to show.
Basically, another field trip to Skywalker Ranch.
Yeah, pretty much. Or either that or, who's got a Star Wars game? I do. We're just working on our stretches, everybody. All right. So, yeah, what do I want to see from EA? I don't really have a whole lot that comes to mind. I kind of wish that Andromeda hadn't done as badly as it did. So maybe that would have given me something to look forward to. I believe BioWare has a new property, but we're not going to see that this year. It might come next year. I don't know, maybe like a Dragon Age to kind of cleanse out the crap that we're probably going to see during that conference. I really am not looking forward to Battlefront 2. As much as people have been bringing it up to me all week, I'm not looking forward to it because I'm more worried that it's, again, going to be yet another troll. Like the original Battlefront was. What about you guys? What are you guys wanting to see from Electronic Arts?
Just a Star Wars game that's not buried behind 3,000 microtransactions and expensive season passes, but we all know that's not going to happen.
No DR game! Shut up, Visceral. You don't get to show your game this year. Okay, Romney, what about you?
Honestly, even with Star Wars, just EA in general, there's just nothing that really interests me that they put out. Not even from BioWare. It's just very much just I mean, calling it here, it's probably going to be another field trip to Skywalker Ranch, another pointless, boring section talking about their sports titles, and maybe a few indie stuff if they feel like they need to fill up some space. But honestly, there's not much I'm really looking forward to that is coming from EA.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of where I'm sitting. It's like BioWare was my reprieve in a lot of that. I mean, there are a couple of other studios that I do watch from time to time. And here's the thing. EA has actually surprised me when they come out with like their indie games because Unravel was one that I didn't actually expect that I would like from their conference, and it was interesting. But most of the time it's like I have to slog through. This is the conference I never look forward to, and it's usually first. Aldo, what about you? What do you want to see from Electronic Arts?
To see them go out of business and relinquish the Star Wars franchise to a company that actually cares.
That would be,
I like that.
be the great dream.
We can only dream, Aldo. We can only dream.
You know what? That happens, Aldo, I will buy you a drink.
Are you gonna buy me more than a drink?
I will buy you more than a drink. Yes,
2 drinks.
I'll go even more. 3.
Oh, yeah, you're a madman.
Reminds me of like Mr. Burns' promises. Tell you what, Smithers, if we come back and they're all dead, I owe you a Coke.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So, yeah, that's going to be a thing. And the next one on the order, because obviously, like, this is the one that we'll have to slog through, and so I'm sure we'll get a bunch of EA fanboys going, no, we're going to get tons of awesome announcements. Sure, great, good on you.
Well, the thing is, they're the kind of people who like the field trips to Skywalker Ranch because they know they can never actually get there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The next one is actually going to be the first of the console makers, and that is Microsoft. So I can already tell you what I think we will see, which is lots of Scorpio. Scorpio will make its way into virtually everything. I'm sure there will be an obligatory HoloLens moment. But as far as stuff that I want to see, well, this is not going to happen. I am reaching for the stars, but there has been that whole little story of the Scalebound trademark getting renewed.
Well, probably so that somebody else won't make a game.
Yeah, probably. That's probably the logical guess. But I mean,
you just are a constant story of setting yourself up for disappointment.
Yes, I am. I am the literal definition of a glutton for punishment. So yeah, I mean, if I got Scalebound out of it, then that would be awesome. If it looked good, like if it was what I know it's not going to be what Platinum worked on, but if it looked good,
you're gonna get an 8-bit retro style platformer on your iPhone, only for iPhone, even though it's Microsoft.
Yeah,
just by iPhone.
Actually, let's make that worse. On Windows devices, on a Windows Phone device.
No, I'll do you one
better. I was going to say, why is it on an iPhone?
Well, yeah, I'll do you one better, Aldo. It's going to be an 8-bit like mobile game available only through the Zune that they will somehow like bring back just for Scalebound.
Because they're totally bringing the Zune back. And by that I mean no, they're not. They're going to take their backlog of stuff that never sold and just repurpose it.
You don't know that Guardians of the Galaxy had a Zune.
Guardians of the Galaxy did have a Zune.
It might single-handedly create a resurgence of Zune demand.
A resurgence, yes, I want that. Yeah, I mean, Scalebound. If they were the ones to actually put up some Red Dead Redemption 2, that might be really cool. But, I mean, aside from that, I'm actually not looking forward to this one in particular because I think it's going to be Scorpio, and more Scorpio. And, well, I'm not interested in the Scorpio. So this is going to be kind of a difficult one. What about you guys? What are you guys hoping to see from Microsoft?
I don't care. Because I don't think I'm ever going to become an Xbox gamer at any time in my life.
Well, technically, you're a PC gamer, so that's the same thing.
No, it's
I've seen a lot of PC gamers making that argument now, and no, it's not the case.
I mean, you do have like access to like 80% of the current Xbox library now. Yeah. It's not that great of a library, but you have access to it.
Exactly. You just don't have the Xbox with which to play it. Well, but you have a gaming PC, so that should be better. I say should because I built his PC, and I can tell you, like, if he was hoping to play like the next Call of Duty on that, well, that might be a tough sell.
Well, I mean, you could. It'll just look like Duty.
I would actually dare say it would crash his PC. Probably.
It'd probably blow it up.
Yeah. No, that would be Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed will blow up your PC. Aldo, are you expecting anything, or are you wanting to see anything unique from them?
I'm not gonna buy a Scorpio, but I am genuinely interested to see what all is in it in the final consumer edition, I guess you could call it. I really want to see how this is gonna trump essentially the PS4 Pro.
Well, and given how they're actually talking about it, it might as well be like their 9th generation console.
Right, which is why I'm genuinely interested to see what the hell's going on with it, what all they're adding to it, and all these things. Other than that, I don't know if I got a Red Dead Redemption 2 trailer or something.
Yeah.
That would be neat.
No.
don't know. I don't really ever have any expectations for Microsoft. I don't know. Maybe this is the year that Peter Molyneux comes back.
And you'll be like, yes, and I'll be like, no. Milo returns. What about you, Romney?
Honestly, I'm kind of with Alex insofar that there's not really anything that's exclusive to Microsoft that really is enticing to me. And whatever stuff is available for Xbox One that I would play, I can already get for my PS4 as well, since a lot of the stuff I would want to play is going multi-platform. So there's nothing from that particular conference that I would be wanting to look out for that it's going to really get me excited. I mean, they've had like many years to try to sell me on the Xbox One, and so far, nothing.
Yeah. So let's move on into the next conference, which is going to be Bethesda. Now, we've already gotten some peeks into their conference. Supposedly, they have a new IP to unveil called Starfield. I don't know necessarily how much that they're actually going to unveil, because a lot of the speculation is wild. It's like we are either going to get a concept design for Starfield, or we are getting a brand spanking new engine that we can all expect Elder Scrolls 6 and Fallout 5 to run off of. But we just don't know until it actually happens. I have a feeling we're going to hear some stuff on what was it? Quake Heroes? Is that what it was called? We're going to get information on that. But aside from that, I don't like, because Prey's already out, and I want to say they don't really have anything else there aside from that. Is there anything else that it is working on? I don't think so. Yeah, I'm not sure what necessarily to expect from Bethesda, because I don't hate Bethesda, but the stuff that I was interested in is out right now, and I could play it. What about you, Aldo? What are you hoping to see from Bethesda?
I don't really care much for Bethesda. I know that seems like to the fan base, it seems blasphemous with me being a PC gamer or a gamer in general.
But to me, it's like, yay! Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. I just like games that don't have bugs. I'm sorry.
That was actually something that came up like with one of the things I was watching today. Is like, well, hopefully this new engine that Starfield's gonna come out with, like, it's gonna eliminate all the bugs. and my reaction, it actually scared my daughter, was, oh, you are wishing for the stars, you are.
Other than that, though, once again, not that I actually care because I want to play it. Genuinely interested to see what Skyrim on the Switch is going to look like, assuming this is the conference we get that at. Unless they just don't say anything and it just shows up exclusively on Nintendo's Direct.
Probably. That's probably
it will show up on Nintendo's Direct. It's just a question whether or not will Bethesda actually hold their ground against Nintendo and show it on their conference? Which, I don't know. Bethesda's pretty aggressive. Maybe they could get away with it.
I don't know. Nintendo's pretty damn aggressive. They got the Nintendo lawyers on hand at all.
Even though they don't have any staff members on hand.
Well, selling tickets now. Selling tickets to the cage match.
But I mean, I'm genuinely interested to see how that is literally gonna look.
No, I am too. I want to see what Skyrim's going to look like on Switch, because that was really like the selling point for the Switch for a lot of people that I know, is like, oh my gosh, that game looks like Skyrim. I can play Skyrim on Switch. So I would be interested in that just to see their reactions. But yeah. I mean, because I think Dishonored 2 has come out, so Prey has come out. Yeah, I'm not really thinking of it. Like I honestly, my hope is we'll get a bunch of new IPs from id and from Bethesda.
Yep.
So, Alex and Romney, what about you guys?
Well, as someone who's kind of a casual fan of the Elder Scrolls, I'm not like super deep into the lore, but I have played a sizable amount of both Skyrim and Oblivion. I'm curious to see what they come out with next in that regard. Granted, it's probably just going to be more of, please play Elder Scrolls Online. We've sunk a lot of money into this. See, we have Morrowind. So we'll add other expansions. Just please sign up for our MMO. Never. Yeah, that's the first thing that we're probably going to get is, oh, it's going to basically be them desperately pleading us to buy and pay into the Elder Scrolls Online, which honestly I don't really care about, and a lot of people don't really care about because, well, when we play Elder Scrolls, we're not playing for an online experience.
No.
At least you would think. As for what's Starfield, like, is it called like Starfield or Star?
I've heard Star Ray or something like that, and then I've also heard Starfield, and most people are saying Starfield.
Okay, because I almost said Starfleet for a second because of I was looking at the Brian May music video.
They got the next Star Trek game. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was thinking more, it's a game based on that old obscure Marionation, but not by Jerry Anderson Japanese show that had music by Brian May. Weird choice, but then again. But honestly, from Bethesda, there's not much currently on the market that they've offered that I'm interested in. And honestly, it's probably just going to be more of the same, them begging people to sign up for ESO, as well as basically hawking whatever franchises they can pull out of the vat that is the id back catalog.
Exactly. Do we actually think that, because I've seen speculation on this one too, do we actually think that we'll see like a Doom 2 there? I don't think we will.
No. Actually, we probably not like a full thing. We might get an announcement that they're working on it.
Yeah, that's true. We can get an announcement on it. But...
Well, yeah, that's most we'd probably would be able to hope for is maybe some sort of an announcement that Doom 2 is coming or that they're making another Wolfenstein or something in that regard.
Yeah.
Yep. I'll agree with that. I think if we got the announcement, that would probably be it. What about you, Alex?
I got nothing.
Okay. All right. Now, the next one is I'm actually going to be covering kind of two birds with one stone, which is the listing is developer digital, but really this is kind of like the PC gaming show. And so I'm actually going to chalk it into PC and indie gaming. Now, here's the thing. We've actually gotten a lot of indie announcements over the past week that people wanted us to talk about. For crying out loud, Shaq Fu 2 is still a thing, and it's coming. We have a trailer. And no, Romney, you were not the only one that found it. We also have Bubsy. Never thought I would see Bubsy back, but I guess he's back, and he's
What
indie.
could possibly go wrong?
Everything could go wrong.
I mean, to be fair, we've brought back like the good franchises to lackluster or shitty number 9 reviews. So, I mean, what do we have to lose here?
No, I'll agree with you on that.
Everybody shits on like Bubsy as if he was like the worst thing to happen in the fucking 90s. He wasn't.
No, I will agree with you. He was not.
I mean, I would dare say I prefer this over Earthworm Jim to be brought into the modern age.
I played the worst, and that was Awesome Possum, and I would gladly play Bubsy over Awesome Possum.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I don't think Bubsy deserves all the shit he's getting.
Well, and here's the thing too. So I got sent this trailer like numerous times and finally watched it, and I actually don't think it looks that bad. I want to see more of it, but this actually looks like it might be an improvement from Bubsy's predecessors.
I'm just saying everybody's like, oh no, who asked for this? Well, remember the stuff we did ask for and we got, and remember how mediocre.
Well, thing is, I'm looking at this.
Hey, Square fans, how many people were asking for that Final Fantasy VII remake? Now, how many of you, take your hands down, are happy with the changes that have been made? That's what I thought.
Yeah. As long as people still get like their boners over how emo Cloud is, I think it's still gonna sell like hotcakes.
Yeah, and honestly, looking at the fact that Bubsy is a thing in this modern age, it just reminds me of the plot from the AVGN movie, where they were basically making a sequel to E.T. for the Atari. Not because, they want to make it as a good game, but no, let's make a bad game because bad games get talked about by Let's Players on YouTube.
Exactly. So, yeah, we already gotten some indie gaming announcements. I'm thankful to say that we've also gotten some good ones, like Bloodstained Ritual of the Night got a recent trailer, and a few other games that have looked awesome, including Way Forward taking The Mummy and demastering it. So that's going to be a thing that they do. What are we hoping to see from the indie games? And here's the thing. It's not just going to be at the PC Gaming Show. We're going to see them littered throughout Microsoft, Nintendo, Sony, because well, all three of those console makers want to show that they just love the indie game developers.
Honestly, I think it just comes down
to...
Yeah, I guess it just really comes down to games that look like that are actually, mostly on track to actually be games, not just field trips or concepts or Kickstarter scams.
I would actually, so this is a rumor right now. I don't know if it's actually a thing, but there was talk that Gabe Newell would be there, and a lot of people are speculating that he would be fully showcasing the new replacement to Steam Greenlight. I don't think so. I think if Gabe was there, he'd just be looking at stuff that might eventually make its way to Steam.
I also don't know why you'd be showing that off at
E3. It doesn't feel right.
No.
Maybe like I'm trying to think of what like the more tech heavy one. Would that be CES? That might be the place to showcase that.
Yeah, probably like CES, maybe SIGGRAPH, if they still do gaming stuff at SIGGRAPH, which I don't know if they do. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It's
like hit or miss each year. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Well, I'm pretty sure we're going to get indie announcements because Nintendo's going to have to showcase them for the Switch. Sony's going to do it, and Microsoft are going to do it because, hey, they love them indie game developers, and they want them to come work for us. So that's going to happen.
Yeah, I swear, game console manufacturers getting buddy-buddy with indie developers, at this point, it's like the equivalent of a political candidate kissing a baby. It's like, yeah, everyone does that. It doesn't really win you any brownie points anymore.
To be fair, I think it does win Nintendo some brownie points.
A little bit, yeah.
Because they're so damn impossible to work with. So I think they're like in a little bit of a honeymoon period where it's okay to give them some brownie points this year.
Okay. Yeah, especially since the Switch is really doing their work for them right now.
That just raises the question: is how long before they crap the bed?
That's a whole other.
Well, speaking of crapping the bag, the next one that we actually need to get into is Aldo and me's personal favorite, Ubisoft. Now, we have already received some announcements that I have a feeling are going to get more in detail on that screen. One of which being the supposed reboot of Assassin's Creed. We don't know too much just yet, but I have a feeling we'll get a lot more information on that in the conference. Specifically, what it's supposed to be, what reboot actually means. Like, are we going to get another Desmond Miles-esque character, or is this going to be more of a continuation of what they've been doing since, not Black Flag, but Unity? And just trying to incorporate that a little bit more. We know that the assassin is going to be based in ancient Egypt, and supposedly the name for it is Origins. So this is going to be the origins of the Assassin's Order. So forget everything that you used to know about this franchise. So we know that that's going to happen. We also know that there's a possibility of, this is actually the least likely. I think Bethesda would have more of a chance than Ubisoft, because there is a Mario and Rabbids game coming out. I have a feeling that's going to be Nintendo, because unlike Bethesda, I don't think Ubisoft has the chops to actually contend with Nintendo. So we'll get those, as well as probably more information on South Park: The Fractured Butthole. I'm not even hiding it anymore. That's what it is. But aside from that, I don't know anything that I'm really excited for from Ubisoft. What about you, Aldo?
I don't think. I mean, I'm trying to figure out which one's coming first, the Nintendo Direct or Ubisoft. Because if the Direct is first, I don't see why they wouldn't just let Ubisoft.
Basically, Ubisoft is set for Monday morning, and Nintendo is set for Tuesday morning.
They probably. I get the feeling that they might go into some detail about Rabbids. They're probably going to have I'm thinking about it. Ubisoft is probably going to have a small Nintendo Switch section where they're probably going to talk about some of the stuff coming up. And I wouldn't be surprised if they at least showed a trailer or some information about Rabbids, Mario Rabbids.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be like a Mario RPG-esque game where this is where it gets weird because you can have Rabbids in your party and they can actually mirror Nintendo-esque characters, but you can also have those Nintendo-esque characters. So it's like, why are they there?
Right. So that's why I'm not sure. I think Skyrim is like a thing where they might butt heads over who gets to show that off. I don't think this one is. I think this one they might split it.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, I am curious about Origins. I'm kind of hoping that we get like a solid Assassin's Creed again. I haven't played it since. Well, I've played it since, but I haven't enjoyed the franchise since the 2 trilogy.
Yep.
So I mean, if we could get a return to form, that'd be neat.
Yeah, and there's also speculation that we might hear from some of the other teams. Specifically, there might be some Watch Dogs info, possibly even a Watch Dogs 3. Because I guess in the internal workings of Ubisoft, they're starting to set up Watch Dogs as being a yearly title. And then the other one that has been brought up has been either For Honor 2 or a bunch of For Honor DLC. But I'm not interested in either of those prospects.
Yeah,
to be perfectly honest. And obviously you're going to get your obligatory Tom Clancy games. I'm sure there's more Division DLC that nobody wants. Probably even some Wildlands DLC, but yeah. Alex and Romney, what about you guys? What are you expecting from Ubisoft? And don't even get us started on Aisha Tyler.
Yeah, honestly, from what you guys have already described, it's very much, oh yeah, I forgot they were still a company.
Yeah. Well, because wait, didn't Universal buy them?
Well, yeah, because because even with Assassin's Creed, now keep in mind, I never actually played the games. I watched my brothers play them, but I was interested in the whole kind of Da Vinci Code style lore they built that they then threw down the toilet because they realized, oh crap, we have to make one of these every single year now. And so, honestly, looking at it, I'm just looking at this. I'm just like, not really anything. I mean, I've heard, because keep in mind, when I was a younger person, I can't quite say kid because it's like kid, teenager, not sure the exact age group. I'm not a big fan of the Rabbids. I thought they were annoying. The only thing that's eclipsed the Rabbids in their annoyance has been the minions. And let's hope that they never ever do a crossover, because then you would probably
Rabbids and minions. The universe would implode.
Yes, the universe would implode from an annoyance singularity.
Yes, exactly. What about you, Alex?
I think they should just devote their whole conference to talking about their new logo and how it's changed. Because why not? It's not like they have anything else interesting. Maybe bring back that dog game that they had on the Wii.
Okay, call back to a couple of weeks ago. That was awesome. So the next conference that we have, this is actually where we're starting to get a little bit more excited, because this is the remaining 2 of the big 3, starting, of course, with Sony. Now, the last few years, Sony's conferences have been amazing to watch. But unfortunately, we already know some bad news for this year's conference. First of all, no Death Stranding. It will not be there. Unfortunate for me as well, Shenmue 3 probably won't be there because they just barely delayed it to late 2018. I think it was late 2018.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When that's going to be coming out. And also, what was the other one that got yanked from their conference? No, I think I covered them all. But there's already talk that's somewhat exciting that we might get. First of all, from Capcom, because I know that, I guess, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite is going to show up there. There's talk, once again, this has been for the last 3 years, I don't know why I'm excited anymore, that Capcom will have an announcement regarding Onimusha. That's... I see the look in Aldo's face right now, everybody. That's what I probably should do whenever I hear that, but I don't.
I just looked at my screen.
Well, I was saying, like, when I hear that there might be an Onimusha announcement from Sony and Capcom, yeah, that's never going to happen. Yeah, it's never going to happen. I have a feeling that Capcom will also be there with Resident Evil 7 DLC, because that DLC hasn't come out yet.
Yeah.
I just don't know if it's going to make the conference or the show floor. We'll also see a lot of the favorites that came last year. I'm sure the new God of War is going to be there. oh, I can't ever remember the Siphon Filter guys that are now working on a post-apocalyptic game. I think it's Days Gone By. That's going to be there. But aside from that, a lot of people are having other speculation as to what Sony is going to show off. One of which is, since Crash Bandicoot's coming out later this month, that we might get a Jak and Daxter collection. They might be the next one for Reboot. Alex, how do you feel about that one in particular? Keep it quick.
The only one worth playing is the first.
Oh, right, no, that's like the worst one.
Oh, no,
there you go. We already
suck.
No, number 2 was so great. Oh, okay.
Okay.
We're not
we don't need another PS2 era debate. We've already had quite a few.
So, yeah, a lot of people are expecting that to be the next one to get the reboot. The other one is Spyro, which a lot more people want. But I think there's some contention in that regard because Universal doesn't like the idea. But they own Crash, too, so...
Well, not to mention Spyro's still kind of tied up with the whole Skylanders thing, so...
Yeah. So I'm not sure how that's going to work out. What I want to see from Sony is roughly just new IPs galore. I have no problem with that. I want to see more on the new God of War. I am hooked. I'm interested in what they're about to do. I will admit, and this is not going to happen, but either Horizon DLC or Horizon 2... It's not. I know, although it's not going to happen.
No, I said I hope not. I hope we don't get DLC for it. It's a pure experience. Let it be that. Just give me whatever effort you're going to give onto DLC, move that over to Horizon 2.
Yes, I would much rather get a Horizon 2. I just don't think it's likely this year.
I see your hopes, Aldo, but you just know in the current gaming industry, they're not. It's not going to remain pure forever.
Listen, man. It's been like 2 months since it came out. I haven't said anything. I feel like I'm in a good place to hope.
Yes, you know what? I'm gonna be there over there with Aldo on that one because I agree with you. I want a Horizon 2 announcement. I don't think we're gonna.
When it comes to this industry, I don't have hope anymore. Let me have this, Robbie.
Let me have this, man. Yeah, as far as like things, I mean, obviously they took out Death Stranding, which I look forward to any time Hideo Kojima has anything to announce.
Well, he is going to be at the Sony conference. It's just not going to be for Death Stranding. It's because they're going to be talking about the upcoming Metal Gear movie, where he's actually going to be taking the stage with the director.
Exactly. So they'll be talking the Metal Gear movie, but I was hoping to see like another trailer, maybe announcing another big celebrity for Death Stranding. And then the other one that I was interested in was Shenmue 3. That's been taken off the table, so I think I'm just going to be surprised with what I get. I'll get some God of War. I actually think that we'll also get some more stuff on the new Uncharted game DLC. I'm not even sure what they're calling it anymore. But let's go ahead and open up to the panel. Although, what do you want to see from Sony?
You know, I don't think we're gonna get like. So I know we are getting the Jak and Daxter HD re-release. I know that's a thing. I don't think we're gonna get like a Crash Bandicoot style remaster, if that's what you were saying. I don't think it was, but
well, that's rumor right now. Is that one's the next that would
what
get
I'm saying is no, I don't think that's gonna happen because they're coming out with an HD collection remastered again for the PS4. If anything, we might see a reboot, maybe. But
yeah, because that worked so well for Ratchet and Clank.
Yep, the game was good.
I liked it,
but not that whole movie tie-in thing. That was a hot mess.
I still like the movie. I think it's got flaws, but I like the movie.
I mean, yeah, it just didn't do well. That's mostly what I meant. Other than that, though. From Sony, yeah, I'd be interested to see what else they're doing with Horizon. I'd like at least some announcement or something. I'm
just curious. Have you seen the ending to Horizon?
No, not yet.
Oh,
it came out. Zelda came out. I haven't touched it since.
Dude, when you get there, you are not going to be disappointed.
I'm gonna be disappointed because it means I finished the game.
This is true.
Honestly, honestly, I'd be really interested. I know nothing's gonna happen, but I'm gonna put myself in an Adam mindset here and hope for the impossible. That's not gonna happen because the logistics are against it. But maybe something for the Vita. Jesus.
Wow. You know what, Aldo? I'm gonna join you there.
Really, the Vita.
The only reason I'm saying this is because I remembered I have a Vita TV. I was like, oh, if I remembered that, surely Sony remembers that.
You're just setting yourself up for even more pain, Aldo.
I really am.
What's it say about me, Romney?
Well, thing is, with you, Adam, it's a given. With Aldo, it's surprising.
You know, I have no hope for anything. Honestly, though, same thing I want to see with Sony every year, and I get some of it, but never as much as I want. Just more stuff about Japanese imports. More games.
Oh, you know what we might actually get from Naughty Dog instead? Last of Us 2. That might happen.
That's fine.
Yeah.
If you want to play like the 50 billionth zombie game.
Yeah, that's kind of my thought.
I'd be interested to see what they have as far as like Japanese imports, or just anything really kind of. I mean, that's why I have a PS4 and not an Xbox, right?
Yeah.
Be interested in seeing if they have anything as far as that. Maybe kind of optimistic that maybe we'll see something about Final Fantasy 14, the MMO, or even some more on the DLC for Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah. That's true.
I know they're probably going to be showing something for Dissidia NT because I know they've been letting those.
Oh yeah, we did get trailers for that.
Yes.
So that'll probably make its way there. I have a feeling that since I'm going to throw it in here, I don't know if it's going to be likely that we'll hear about it on the conference, but we're already going to get with the 12 remastering more DLC for World of Final Fantasy. I have a feeling that Dissidia and 14 will also have DLC for that.
Well, the 12 is coming out like in 2 days.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're going to see
No, it's in July.
No, it's 2 days. I could have.
I've got it. It's like early July. So, while we're looking this up, Romney, what are you hoping to see from the Sony conference?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, I am curious to see what Kojima, and unfortunately I don't remember the director's name, I'm curious to see what the bit about the Metal Gear movie is going to lead to, especially given it's kind of the equivalent of watching a mutual friend of a couple that recently had a very bad breakup,
it is true.
but they're still like trying to make things work. I'm just looking at this, I'm thinking, okay, well, you've got Konami, which owns the rights to Metal Gear. You've got Kojima, the ousted director. I'm just thinking, well, on the one hand, it'll be fascinating, but on the other, it's going to be incredibly awkward.
Yeah.
And as for some of the titles mentioned, Dissidia NT, I'm curious to see if that will be mentioned in the Sony conference specifically, along with some of the other import stuff. I know there's also like a Gundam game that's on the horizon.
Gundam Versus, and people have already been asking my opinion on it. Not interested.
Yeah, and so
it sounds to me like it's online multiplayer. So
yeah, and so looking at it, there's some stuff I'm interested in. The main thing that's piqued my curiosity is the snippet about the Metal Gear movie, mainly just to see what we actually learn from it.
That's true. I would be interested in that too. Alex, what are you hoping to see from the Sony conference?
I don't think I have any real major hopes. It's just more like I'll see what they have in store, see what they can surprise me with.
That's probably the conference where you're going to be waiting for texts from me and hoping that they're positive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so for lack of I need to push things along just a little bit, but we have one more to cover, and that is the last one, which we're getting used to over the last few years. That's Nintendo. Now, here's the thing. We already got a Nintendo or Pokemon-themed Nintendo Direct earlier this week, announcing Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon for 3DS. We also got Pokken Tournament has been announced for Nintendo Switch, And we do know that there's going to be a Pokemon Go anniversary event at some point. Not at some point, during the anniversary. We just don't know the details of the anniversary event. So we do have
released,
that.
But nobody cares.
Huh?
I said they were released, just nobody cares enough to report on them.
Yes. So since we don't have a whole lot of time, maybe we'll keep that coverage till next week when we actually do talk about it. When we talk about the Nintendo conference as a whole. But aside from those, what do we want to see from Nintendo? Now, mine is already not going to happen. I think this is officially called Adam territory now. But we keep on hearing about Metroid. I want to see what they're going to do for Metroid or some of the other first-party franchises that we haven't seen in a while.
Yeah,
I know.
That's cute.
We're not getting a Metroid ever. I think it's gone. It's dead.
If we do, it's going to be in a very limited capacity. Maybe not like another Federation Force, but
just to stick it to the internet. Other M2. That's what I want. I want Team Ninja.
I would settle for that.
Well, the thing is, you've already got Team Ninja and Koei Tecmo working on Fire Emblem Warriors, which that may get some more play at that conference. I'm still in the camp of, okay, Nintendo, I'm still holding out for something that's going to get me to buy a Switch, so you better actually show me something that makes me want to go out and buy it right away that isn't already being released for the 3DS, like Fire Emblem Warriors, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that confirmed for the 3DS?
Yeah, it was confirmed in the Fire Emblem Nintendo Direct they did, where they announced Shadows of Valentia, that Fire Emblem Warriors is going to be for the new Nintendo 3DS, which I have, so no reason to buy a Switch yet. And I mean, if they announce something for the new Fire Emblem that they're developing for Switch, I may be curious. But again, given that Shadows of Valentia just barely came out, we're probably not going to be seeing anything concrete for Fire Emblem wise for the Switch just yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. So yeah, that's my viewpoint. Aldo, what are you hoping to see from Nintendo aside from the Pokemon announcements you've already seen?
Go to Alex first.
Okay, Alex, what are you hoping to see?
Oh, I want to start seeing some more Switch titles. Whether they're big, whether they're small, I just want to see a little more stuff coming for the Switch here.
So you want to see something other than the indie titles?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just even like second parties, because well, I mean, a lot of these indie titles are stuff I'm already going to be able to get on Steam anyway. So, Nintendo, show me what else you got that's actually worth making the investment for a Switch for.
I agree. I think Aldo is right that Nintendo will have Skyrim there, but to what capacity, not sure. Whether or not Bethesda will get something before that. So that would be at least one that we would get. But yeah, that's one of those things that I would like to see additional stuff on. We saw so many great third-party titles that haven't come out yet. I would love to see more on them. Actually, one other thing that just came to my mind is we didn't really report on this, but Tokyo RPG Factory announced that they do have another game in the works. If I was to see that at a conference, I'd want to see it on either Sony or Nintendo. So that might be the way. I don't know. If they put up a poster, it's probably very early in development, but that'd be a hope. What about you, Aldo? Have you settled your thoughts?
A little bit. I mean, I didn't mention it in the indies, but they have one independent game, Wargroove, that I would like to see more about. I mean, he's hinted at it. And I'm kind of hoping that we'll get some sort of announcement for Smash, whether it's a port or whether it's an announcement for a new one. As long as they're not announcing a remaster of Melee, I don't care. As long as it's not Melee, I'm
people
happy.
still asking for that?
Yes.
I don't get why. I thought the newest Smash solved a lot
those
queries, but
for fighting games, I just don't want remasterings. I want new entries.
People want their broken ass Melee.
People want their wave dashes, I guess.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Other than that, I mean, I really want to see more multiplayer games. That's kind of all I have on my Switch right now, because that's like the reason I bought it, right? So I have like Mega Man. I have a Bomberman.
Bomberman, yeah.
Tetris, Mario Kart.
Well, and we are going to have a Splatoon tournament, and I think what was the other tournament that they announced? Was it Mario Kart?
I think it was ARMS.
Yeah, I think it was ARMS.
No, it was ARMS. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, we know we're gonna see Splatoon 2.
Yeah, we're gonna see a lot more Splatoon 2. I want to see more about Mario Odyssey.
I'll agree on that.
I would love it if we got a Kirby announcement. Just any sort of Kirby announcement.
Well, we got tons of Kirby announcements for 3DS, but yeah,
Right.
I agree with you. I want a Kirby Switch announcement, especially since it's what is it the 30th anniversary for Kirby?
I don't know.
I think that's what they announced. It was the 30th anniversary for Kirby.
Yeah. I know, like with the latest thing, they've also been trying to promote the Box Boy stuff, which is made by HAL Laboratories. So,
yeah,
whether or not we may see something for Kirby, but even then, we're not quite sure.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I'm not gonna hedge my bets like Adam is on Metroid, but I think I would be somewhat pleased if I saw something either Kirby or Donkey Kong.
Okay.
Related. As far as like their side scrollers go.
DK, I wouldn't mind either.
Yeah. I mean, tell me what the hell the next DLC is for Zelda. I need to know what the hell that extra story they're adding is.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. They got DLC for it, so
I need to know what the extra story they're adding to it is. I paid money and I need to know.
Spoiler alert: he's gonna go. We're officially going to connect the Metroid and the Zelda universe.
No,
probably not.
Oh, that wouldn't be the weirdest.
They don't want to drag down Zelda.
No, in honor of the 30th anniversary of Kirby, Kirby invades Hyrule.
No.
Well, I mean, a Metroid crossover would make more sense. I mean, when you consider that in the Ultima games, you can find a Kilrathi Starfighter crash landed. I could see it where it's just Samus's ship just happens to crash in Hyrule.
Yeah, and to be fair, the other thing I would not mind seeing at all from Nintendo in the Direct would definitely be a lot more AAA support from not Nintendo.
Yes, we definitely need a lot of the third party, especially the AAA support. Because look, I've appreciated all the indie title stuff, but we did get promised that there was going to be a bunch of third parties that were going to be behind you. And aside from a few things that we've seen, we need to see more because a lot of those projects were unannounced.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the way to showcase that.
I think it'd be great if we got like an extended trailer or section about Fire Emblem Warriors. That'd be cool. Honestly, I know Alex and Romney aren't like go out and buy a Switch happy yet, but I've been pretty happy with my purchase. I would not mind, and I know this goes against stuff I usually say, but I would not mind seeing more Wii U titles being ported over to the Switch.
Sorry, the chat just answered your question for you. Link was the hero of Crystallis, that old NES game.
Oh, but honestly, I would not mind seeing more stuff that was on the Switch, on the Wii U, will get ported over to the Switch. Because I totally skipped over that generation because there wasn't much there for me.
I mean, I've seen a lot of really interesting ideas that are speculated, but until I actually hear from the companies that's what they're doing, that's what I care about. Because I think a lot of interesting ideas have been brought up. Somebody actually brought up to Capcom that Okami ought to be remade for the Switch, and what was the other property from Capcom that they were talking needed to go there? I think it was either Beautiful Joe or Wonderful 100 that they wanted more stuff on for Switch.
You know what?
Konami got a bunch of other requested stuff. The list is long, but
I wouldn't mind getting Hyrule Warriors like a deluxe edition. Honestly,
I wouldn't mind that either. I actually like Hyrule Warriors, so that would actually be awesome for me. The other one that gets brought up, because Square Enix we know has a couple of RPGs on the way. One of which I think they're tied to is Octopath Traveler.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the Tokyo RPG one, that would be awesome to be able to see stuff for. But somebody actually was quoted, a Square Enix dev, of like, if we were going to take old school series like Brave Fencer Musashi, taking them to the Switch to revitalize them might be the best way to do that. but they're not sure on it. That would be an awesome announcement for like a Brave Fencer Musashi after so many years. Even if it was just a remake, I'd be okay with it. But yeah, unfortunately, a lot of the stuff is like fan speculation.
Honestly, the thing that would surprise me the most, and I don't think I'll see it, so I'm not going to hope too much for it. But I think the thing that would surprise me the most was if we got like another Bravely Default title.
Ooh, like for Switch? That would be amazing.
No, I would settle for 3DS.
Oh,
honestly, I mean, like I said, I don't want to put too much hope in it, but if we got like Bravely Third or whatever,
I'd be excited for that too.
Yeah, I would be stoked.
So one other that's getting brought up is, what do you guys think of the possibility of Mother 3? Where's my camera?
I mean,
does that answer your question about Mother 3?
I mean, are you the type of person that that enjoys repeatedly punching themselves in the face? Because it sounds like you are.
Yeah,
probably.
I mean, you know what they did? They just released it was like one of the Square. Shut up, watch. It was one of the Square Final Fantasy-esque franchises. I forgot the name, but they released like a trilogy pack in Japan that has like the first the 3 games. One of them,
Chronicles, maybe.
No, I can't. This is gonna bug me if I don't. Anyway, so they released.
Is it the Mana franchise?
Yes.
That'd be great.
Yeah, so they released that in Japan, but it's Japanese text only for I think it was like the 3rd game that never made it to the States.
Yeah.
So they might come out with a Mother compilation in Japan.
In Japan, that being the key thing here.
I mean, you can import it, but unless your weep skills have gotten good enough, you can read Japanese.
Well, thing is, if your weep skills are good enough that you can actually understand Japanese fluently, you're no longer a weeb. You've officially promoted to the next class. You literally didn't. You just got the Draco Shield. You got to level 20. You've promoted. You're no longer a weeb. You've now promoted to the next class, Weijin.
I was gonna say instead of weeaboo, you've become a weeaboss.
So we got this via private message on Twitter. What do we think the likeliness of Nintendo pulling a bait and switch and actually unveiling their online system there?
I feel like
considering they came out and said no, probably not.
I don't know. I feel like we're probably gonna get some sort of information on it. Probably a little bit more clarification on like their online. I
think they have
games. Yeah. Maybe we'll get something about the virtual console. Maybe.
I think really what we're going to get is a clarification of what the online system actually will cover. And then at that point, not even going into like all of the benefits for it. Because I already know that they've gotten a little bit of backlash for their pricing system, as well as the fact that virtual console hasn't been mentioned, even though they have the new challenge system for NES games. So I have a feeling that we're going to get a very bare bones approach to what they're planning to do with their online system. If they do it, I don't think they will, because Nintendo's not usually a bait and switch surprise announcement kind of company. But
if they are the bait and switch surprise company, who knows? Maybe this will be where they'll unveil the space shuttle attachment for the Switch.
I'm still waiting for that.
I brought it back.
Yes. Do it.
I can't even be mad at it.
NX is the shuttle.
I can't even be mad at it anymore. You guys are so excited. You're taking the anger out of me. I don't think there'll be that, but you guys are taking the anger out of me. So I guess I'm riding the hype train now. Hashtag NX is a starship. So,
Space shuttle.
I want a starship.
No,
I want my own. I want my own Enterprise. Damn it. I don't want the Enterprise.
There's the Adam method of hoping.
All right. So we did actually have some questions to go over, but we are out of time. So I'm actually going to keep them for next week. Next week, we are going to have hopefully a 5-person panel. I'm just not sure about Aldo, whether or not he's going to be able to make it next week. But we will be...
No, nothing. Go ahead.
We will be covering all of the conferences, our feedback, our feelings on all of the announcements that were made. whether or not, who actually came out as the winner at E3, who was the most disappointing at E3, all of that fun stuff you guys can get literally next week. And also, I'm going to encourage you guys to watch the conferences along with us because I would like to hear you guys' thoughts in the chat that we have when we go live. But let's go ahead and wrap things up for the evening. Thank you guys so much for watching. And if you want to get a hold of the various panelists that have given their opinions tonight, Stephen Romney, how do they do that with you?
Well, you can always find me here on YouTube at youtube.com/StudioGhostUtah. You can also find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Romney'sReviews, no apostrophe. And I am also on Twitter at RomneyReviews. And for this week's Romney's recommendation, it's going to be not so much, it's going to be a bit of a weird one because I recently picked up the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 2017 annual. And this week's Romney's recommendation is not necessarily just this comic, but a particular story in this comic titled Perfect, written by Trey Moore, illustrated by Fraser Irving, and lettered by Jim Campbell, mainly because it's the first time I have ever seen anybody trying to do an actual horror story in the Power Rangers universe. And not like, oh, they're kind of going up against...
This is the one I've heard about.
Well, yeah, it's like, and it's not even like, oh, they're going up against movie monsters. Like, no, like legit psychological thriller horror. Now, I don't want to give anything away, but let's just say it's an exploration of where Finster, the monster that created all the other monsters for Rita Repulsa, came from. And I gotta admit, the way the artwork is drawn, it is legitimately terrifying.
You said it's Fraser Irving, right? Irving?
Yeah, Fraser Irving, yes.
Oh, he's excellent for horror. That's a good choice.
Like, I literally, like, because all the other stories in the annual are the typical, oh yeah, kind of funny, kind of dramatic, but then when I turn to this page, I'm just like, what am I reading? But I just couldn't stop because it was engaging, it was disturbing, but even though, yeah, it's horror, I could easily see it as something that would have been done on the show, because let's face it, they've tried copying horror tropes before. Granted, they've just been rip-offs of Alien, but this has been the first time I've seen a legitimately terrifying horror story that's still age-appropriate, set in the Power Rangers universe. So that is this week's Romney's recommendation, is the story Perfect, available in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 2017 annual.
All right. And Alex the Shadow Blazer, how do people get a hold of you for the opinions that you will have about E3?
Well, you can, of course, find me on YouTube, where YouTube Shadow Blazer 3000 is my channel, and I make anime reviews and other anime content, the occasional Let's Play on the side. And of course, if you want to follow me on social networking and always be on top of when I put out a new video, follow me on Twitter at AlexJShort.
All right. And then Aldo Gomez of BoardOffline.com. How do people get a hold of you?
You can find me on Twitter at Steamboat Taco. You can also find me on my website and YouTube channel, which are both Board Offline. BoardOffline.com for the website specifically. And I would recommend, if you got some time, Tekken 7 has finally made it to the home.
I have been told this is the Tekken game I actually need to try out. I haven't played since 2, so...
I mean, in my opinion, they've all been good. My personal favorite was Tekken Tag Tournament 2. But this one's solid. It's also... You can't tell by, like, the game, but it's very much an anniversary game. They have like all the soundtracks available in it. They have all the cutscenes from all the games available in it.
Is Akuma in the game already, or
yeah?
Okay, I wasn't sure if he was going to be DLC added later.
Nope, he's in the game. He's part of the story. He's in there.
Okay. Very cool. And then if people want to get a hold of me, the best way to do so is either my YouTube channel, which is Drac2326 on YouTube, and also you can follow me on Twitter at Drac2326. Now, if you guys want to get a hold of the show directly, which we do appreciate greatly for people who directly support the podcast, that's how we know whether or not we're doing a good job, and we appreciate you guys and love you guys for doing so. First of all, the one I want to point you guys to is the RSS feed, which is at geekyweek.podomatic.com. That's where the episodes are. That's where you can get access to the iTunes page, all that fun stuff. So if you want to be able to listen to Geek News, reviews, and opinions while you're on your morning commute, that's where you need to go. Also, if you want to leave us stories or leave us your opinions on E3, because I'll be watching the email especially this week, is geekyweek@gmail.com. You can leave the stories there, as well as feedback on the stuff that you think might be able to be improved for the podcast, because we do actually take you guys' direct feedback into account. And finally, if you want to follow us on social media, you could first look for Geek News, Reviews, and Opinions on Facebook and like it. You'll get information, up-to-date information when we're going live, stuff we're going to be talking about, especially a lot of the E3 coverage. And especially since I'm going to be doing vlogs throughout the week on the individual conferences, those will also be put up on the Geek News page as well. You can also follow us on Twitter, which is at GeekyNRO, and you'll get pretty much the same thing. Up-to-the-minute information when we're going live, all that fun stuff. And that's going to go ahead and do it for us this evening. So thank you guys so much for continuing to show your love, support for the podcast, as well as for our individual channels. We all do appreciate it. And, of course, we will see you guys next week as we cover E3 2017 in the aftermath on Geek News, Reviews, and Opinions. Take care, everybody. Happy E3!